I always thought I was safe in my room until that night. The doll on my shelf, it was just decoration until it moved. I swear I wasn't dreaming. What happened next still keeps me awake at night. I need to tell someone. I need to tell you. Before I take you into what really happened that night, make sure you're watching with the lights off, headphones on, and no dolls in the room. Trust me, you'll understand why by the end. Now let's begin. It was one of those nights where everything felt a little too quiet. You know the kind, rain tapping lightly against the window, just steady enough to lull you into thinking the world outside is asleep. I was home alone, like I had been so many times before. My parents were out for the weekend, and I'd always liked having the place to myself. The freedom, the silence, the chance to just exist without anyone around. But that night, something about the silence didn't sit right. It felt thicker, heavier. I was in my room just scrolling through my phone, the dull glow lighting up my face. The TV was on in the background, volume low. And then the lights flickered, just once. A short, sharp pulse, like the house was trying to catch its breath. I looked up, waited, but everything held steady. No big deal. Old houses do that when it rains, right? I told myself that. I even said it out loud. Nothing weird, just the rain. Then came the creak, a slow, deliberate sound from the hallway. Not loud, but enough to make me pause. My thumb stopped mid-scroll. I waited. Nothing followed. No footsteps. No movement. Just that sound, swallowed back up by the stillness. I laughed it off nervously. Probably the floorboards, I mumbled, as if saying it made it true. That's when I looked over at the shelf. My eyes landed on the doll, the one I never liked. Porcelain face, glass eyes that always looked too lifelike, and that faded blue dress with lace trimming. I don't even remember where it came from. A gift, maybe? I kept it up there because moving it felt wrong. And just then, the lights flickered again. Longer this time. And for a split second, I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. I tried to shake it off. Told myself I was just being dramatic. The rain, the flickering, the creaks. It all added up to nothing, right? Just an overactive imagination fueled by too many late-night horror videos. So I got up, stretched a little, and walked over to shut the curtains tighter. No need for shadows to dance around the room tonight. But when I turned back toward my bed, something felt off, like subtly wrong. You know that weird gut feeling? Like the atmosphere in the room had changed just slightly, but enough that your instincts pick it up, even if your brain can't explain why. My eyes scanned the shelf again. The doll, its head was tilted, not in a major way, just a small turn, barely a shift. But I noticed. I stared at it for a long second, trying to remember. Was it always looking that far left? I didn't think so, but I also didn't want to think the other possibility. I leaned in closer, checking for anything obvious. A breeze? A loose shelf? Gravity? No, nothing. It sat there perfectly still, just with its face turned slightly more toward the window now. I laughed again, but it came out shaky. Guess you want to see the rain too, I muttered. My own voice sounded strange in the room. Too loud, too forced. I sat back down, grabbed my phone, but I couldn't concentrate. Something about the doll kept pulling at my attention. Like if I turned away for too long, it would move again. The room felt colder now. I rubbed my arms even though the heat was on. I told myself again, out loud, it's just a doll. But I didn't believe it. Not anymore. I sat there staring at that doll like it was going to do something. Like it was alive. But of course, it didn't move. Not while I was looking. It just sat there with that pale, cracked face and those cold glass eyes that always seemed too alert. I hated how detailed they were. Too much like a real person frozen in time. Still, I told myself I was being ridiculous. Dolls don't move. They don't watch you. I got up and walked over, gently turned its head back to center, facing forward. There, I whispered, like I was settling something between us. Just to be safe, I pulled out my phone and recorded a quick video, just a few seconds. The doll, shelf, Everything in place, my way of proving to myself that I wasn't going nuts. I even said into the mic, "Okay, see? Not haunted," trying to laugh it off. The unease didn't go away, though. I left the phone charging by my bed, set the doll exactly how I remembered, and decided I needed to sleep. Enough paranoia for one night. I turned the lights out, climbed under the covers, and let the white noise of the rain fill the silence. But I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. You ever try to sleep, but your skin keeps crawling, like someone's eyes are on you? That was me. I rolled over, pulled the blanket up higher, forced myself to breathe steady. Then out of nowhere, the phone screen went black. Dead. No warning, no low battery alert, just gone. At the exact same time, the bulb in the corner lamp popped. A sharp crack, followed by a flash. The room plunged into near darkness, and when my eyes adjusted, the doll's head was turned again. I froze, didn't breathe, didn't blink, just stared. The doll's head was now turned farther than before, almost completely over its shoulder, facing me. Not the shelf, not the window. Me. I sat up slowly, heart pounding in my ears. The shadows in the room seemed deeper now, like the corners had thickened, like they were hiding something. I reached for my phone, hoping maybe it had just glitched. Pressed the power button. Nothing. It was stone dead. That made no sense. It was plugged in, fully charged. My mind started racing, grabbing at any explanation that wasn't what it looked like. I needed to know I wasn't losing it. I needed to see that I was still in control. So I got up, walked over to the shelf, and picked the doll up. Its body was cold, not room temperature cold, like it had been outside. I held it for a second longer than I meant to, then turned its head forward again, placed it right in the middle of the shelf. I backed away slow, watching it the entire time. Then I heard it. A knock, not from the door, from inside the room. No, inside the closet. 3 soft, deliberate taps, not loud but precise, like someone knocking politely from the other side. I stared at the closet door. My mouth was dry. Every instinct told me to not open it, but I did. Of course I did. It was empty, no one there. But the air felt wrong, colder, still, like whatever had been knocking had just left or moved. I closed the door slowly, hands shaking. When I turned around, the doll was gone. Not on the shelf, not on the floor. It was sitting on my bed, right on my pillow. You're on a roll with this. Let's keep the fear creeping in. I don't remember screaming, but my throat was raw. My legs nearly gave out when I saw it, just sitting there, perfectly upright, hands resting on its lap, head tilted, like it had been waiting for me, watching me. I backed out of the room, heart hammering, brain screaming at me to leave, to run and not look back. But my feet stayed frozen in the hallway, like I was anchored to the fear. I don't know how long I stood there. 5 minutes? 10? Eventually, I forced myself to go back in. I needed proof. I needed to know I wasn't imagining this. So I grabbed my backup phone, the old one I hadn't touched in months. No SIM, just camera. I set it up on my desk, pointed it at the bed, and hit record, just in case. Then I left the room, closed the door behind me. I sat at the kitchen table in the dark, the soft buzz of the fridge the only sound keeping me company. I don't think I blinked the entire time. After 20 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I went back. The room felt heavier. The air was thicker, like walking into a place that didn't want you there. I picked up the phone and played the footage. The doll didn't move for the first few minutes, just sat there, lifeless. But around the 10-minute mark, it shifted, slowly. First the head, then the torso, ever so slightly. It turned to face the camera. And then, this part still makes my skin crawl, it smiled. I dropped the phone, literally dropped it. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. And when I picked it up again, there was audio, faint, whispery. I couldn't make out the words, but I swear it was a voice, saying something I was never meant to hear. That night broke something in me. After hearing the whispers on the video, those soft, dry words I couldn't fully make out, I stopped trying to reason with it. I didn't want answers anymore. I just wanted it gone, whatever it was, whatever that doll had become. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I sat with every light in the house on, the doll back on the shelf where I left it after replaying the video again and again. Every time it was the same: movement, a smile, and those words. In the early hours of the morning, I grabbed a trash bag, stuffed the doll inside it without looking it in the eye, and walked it outside. The rain had stopped, but the street was soaked, and the wind carried this strange low hum through the trees. I threw the bag into the outdoor bin and slammed the lid shut. I stood there for a moment, breathing hard, waiting to feel relieved. But I didn't. It still felt like something was staring at me, like the night hadn't let me go yet. Back inside, I locked every door and collapsed onto the couch. Eventually, I drifted off, not asleep, just somewhere between exhaustion and dread. I remember jolting awake hours later, daylight bleeding through the curtains. I walked back to my room, almost laughing at myself for how scared I'd been. Maybe it was all just stress. Maybe the video was glitched. Maybe, number. It was back, sitting neatly on my bed, like I hadn't touched it at all. Same position, same cracked porcelain face, same faint smile. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a haunting. This wasn't some ghost story I could explain away. This was something else, something that had chosen me. I tried burning it, I really did. I took it out to the fire pit that same day, drenched it in lighter fluid, and set it on fire. Watched it crack and twist and blacken into ash. I thought I won. I needed to believe I had. But the next morning it was on my desk, not a scratch on it. I don't know what it wants. I don't know why it chose me. I don't even know if it's the doll itself or what's inside it. I just know it won't leave. And worse, it doesn't need to move anymore. Now it just waits and watches, and every night I feel it sitting somewhere in the dark, breathing the silence with me. I haven't slept properly in weeks. My friends stopped texting me back. My family thinks I'm having some kind of breakdown. Maybe I am, but I don't care if no one believes me anymore. That doll moved, and I saw it smile. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. And if you're watching this, now you know too.